So you're reading Ship of Dreams, is that right?
hmm
Is there anything we need to know about the scene before you get started?
So the beginning of this scene is the context is that our main characters, Sybil and Charles, are in the gym of the ship, and they have just discovered that Sybil, who's a lady's maid, the lady she serves, they've just spotted her husband, that lady's husband, with another woman on the ship. So, and they are eavesdropping.
And to be clear, the ship is the Titanic.
It is Titanic, yes.
Okay, exciting. Take it away.
All right. Sybil hopped down from the bike seat and slunk closer to the window, Charles on her heels. She pressed her back into the wall, adjacent to the window, where she would be able to hear whenever they finished kissing and started talking. Charles leaned against the wall beside her. I can't tell you how refreshing it is to have an American woman in my arms again, Lewis said. What? The woman replied in a husky voice. The English girls aren't friendly? Downright frigid. Even the servants call my wife the Ice Princess. You're lucky I'm here to warm you up, Mr. Moring. They kissed again, and Sybil ground her teeth. Charles nudged her shoulder with his elbow. Is that true? He hissed. The Ice Princess thing? Yes, but it's complicated. Charles's brow furrowed, but Sybil didn't get to explain before the woman outside spoke again. Shall we take this somewhere more comfortable? Lewis groaned. Absolutely. Though I believe our servants are still in our rooms. You're lucky again. My rooms are servant free, and only a 5-minute walk from here. I'm lucky indeed. Lead the way. Giggling, they hurried away, the sound of their footsteps fading down the boat deck. Sybil's hands balled into fists, and she pushed herself up from the wall, already pacing back and forth. That wretched, rotten rat of a man, she cried. I can't believe he's doing that out in the open. Anyone might have seen. We did see. He's a, a dirty bastard, Charles finished. That's it. I've got something worse if you like, though I'd hesitate to say it in front of you. She giggled. Thank you, that will do. His gaze softened. Are you all right? I think so, she said. Her eyes found his. Could we go back outside? I want to look at the stars with you. He cracked a wide smile. I'd love that. Before she knew it, they were out on the promenade deck, lying on 2 lounge chairs they'd pushed together and looking up at the sky. She could see her breath form a vapor in the air each time she exhaled. She let out a contented sigh. There. Now we could be at home if we pretended enough. Not quite, he said. He lifted his hand. We always held hands when we went stargazing back then. He intertwined his fingers with hers. His touch eased the ire still simmering in her chest about seeing Lewis with that other woman. Charles always had that ability. Whenever she was sad or angry, he took her out to their meadow, and they reminded themselves how small their problems were in the grand scheme of things. Can I ask, how did you end up working for that man? He asked. I don't really work for him. I work for Lady Iris. Yes, as her lady's maid, but how did you get there? Doesn't it take time to become a lady's maid? I would have thought you were too young. I was head housemaid by the time I was 18, she said. Not that I'm boasting. Hold on, your parents let you go to work that young? Her heart skipped a beat. Had his brothers not told him? A lump formed in her throat with the old familiar hurt. They passed away. Oh, Sybil, I'm so sorry. It's all right, she said with a sniffle. I've managed being on my own. How did it happen? A house fire. And when did it happen? A year after you left. He turned his face towards her. Well, that explains another thing. What's that? Why you stopped writing. She blinked. Oh, well, I am sorry, Charles. I meant to, but I. He held his free hand up to stop her. Quite all right, I assure you. I suppose I could have reached out, but I thought. You thought what? I thought you must have met someone, and as much as I missed you, I was happy for you. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. He paused for a beat. So how did you survive? The fire, that is. I wasn't at home, she said, the staggering grief of that night still a sore on her heart. But it didn't hurt as much to tell Charles. Something felt right about it. I'd gone to our meadow to stargaze. I did that a lot whenever I was really missing you. I smelled the smoke and started back, but by the time I got there, she trailed off and closed her eyes. She could still feel the heat of the blaze on her face. Nothing could be saved, not even Mum and Dad. Well, he cleared his throat and swallowed. I suppose I'm happy to be the reason you weren't there. I hated you for it for quite a while. Fine by me, he met her gaze. At least you were alive to hate me. She offered a small smile. Your father stopped me from running inside. He took me in at the farm after. I thought about staying, but I wanted to get through life on my own. So you went to the Earl's house and demanded a job? He teased. I offered my services what they were worth, she returned firmly, but her smile lingered at the corners of her mouth. They took me in as a housemaid, and then when Lady Iris got married, I was promoted to her lady's maid. The rest is history. He squeezed her hand. You're impressive, you know that? She cut her gaze to their clasped hands. I'm just a servant. Nobody, really. You have never been nobody to me. Her eyes flew back to his face, her heart suddenly fluttering like a hummingbird. The look in his eyes stole the breath from her lungs. His free hand came to cup her cheek, forming around her face as if it was made for her. I used to look at the heavens and miss you too, he said. So much I would ache. I know what you mean. The night her parents died, she had experienced that desperate yearn in her heart, looking at the empty grass beside her. She felt it even more the following days, when she had lost everything and would have sold her soul to the devil to have Charles's arms around her. But surely you met plenty of other people, she said, in an attempt to lighten the mood. You've been traveling for so long. I have, he agreed. To Africa and Australia and the Americas, parts of Asia. You never met anyone special? Women, you mean? Her cheeks got warm, but she didn't look away. I think it's a fair question. You did kiss me, after all. You remember? He asked with a raise of his brows. Of course I do. He paused, and she watched a smile grace his lips. I did meet women on my travels, he said. Nice ones. Her heart sank. I see. Beautiful ones, too. I'm sure. Smart, funny, talented ones. Well, bully for you, she said, and started to sit up, but he stopped her. The problem was, none of them were you, Giggles. Oh. Her heart went at a full gallop. This was all beginning to feel like a dream. Seeing Charles again was hardly believable, but the things he said made her head go straight up to the clouds, above the stars and into the sun. Any moment now, she expected to wake up, back in the servants' quarters at Buckland Hall, alone, with only the memories of Charles and that one kiss to comfort her. But his hand was on her cheek again, warm and tender and real, his lips in her direct line of vision. Would he kiss her again? Would she let him? She didn't know. There was still so much to rediscover about each other. And yet, he moved closer. His eyes fell closed. Her heart was screaming at her to shut hers to and welcome him with open arms. Her head warned against it, telling her to spend more time before allowing this. But if she stopped him, would he ever try again? Charles, I don't know if... Sybil? Iris's voice made them jump apart, though their fingers still clung to each other. Sybil, are you there? Sybil cleared her throat. I'm here, milady. Iris walked over, her heels tapping against the deck as she made her way toward them. Sybil got to her feet, and Charles followed suit, without letting go of her hand. Iris's eyes went to their fingers linked, before looking at Sybil with a knowing smirk. I hope I'm not interrupting. We were just talking, Sybil blurted out. I mean, catching up. If you want, you may continue, and I can get myself ready for bed. No, my lady, I'll come help you. She finally released Charles's hand, though found herself reluctant to do it. She turned to face him, drawing a blank on what to say. Well, good night, Charles. It's been lovely. It has, he agreed with a smile. When may I see you again? Oh, I'm not sure. Tomorrow, Iris interjected. Same time and place if your rounds will allow it. Works for me. I'll see you then, Giggles. He touched his finger to her chin, and Sybil couldn't help but smile at him. He bid them good night, and then headed back toward the officers' quarters. Sybil watched him go and heaved a sigh. Don't worry, Iris said. Tomorrow will be here before you know it. And there we go.
Ooh, I love that. It's just the connection of these long lost lovers. That's so lovely.
Thank you.
Well, I have a lot of questions for you, but first we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors.